Hello, and welcome to Standing Strong for Marriages. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay, hey, well, welcome back to Staying Strong for Marriages. Hey, we're going to be doing one that's just generally focused on helping families. General thought is we're going to be looking at the Hope Accord. The Hope Accord, you can see it's healthcare professionals, scientists, concerned members of the public who are concerned about the way that the warp speed testing went and some of the injuries that occurred. It'd be great. I was thinking, what's the downsides of this and what are the yeah buts? I think one of the yeah buts I've heard from people is, yeah, but we had this big problem, disease, and we know people that they had family members that had the long sickness, and it's always interesting to travel and talk to people and hear what they think. So I know not everybody is completely all the way on one side as far as it's all cons and no pros, but I think in general what this hopes to do is stick to historical precedents for safety in preventive medicine that comes out, and basically we'll look at it here, but basically people feel like that wasn't what's happened recently, that the all-cause mortality is really high since the rollout, and we can go on. They obviously put this together, so immediate suspension of these products, growing body of evidence suggests that the widespread rollout of the novel C19 mRNA inoculations product is contributing to alarming rise in disability and excess death. So definitely known young guys in their 40s that just had a heart attack in the middle of the night, otherwise healthy as far as I know. Paralysis, clots. And I haven't even heard a lot of stories, but definitely, we've had friends in our families that have died, that took this and still got clots in their lungs, and so a lot of people are talking about if it really worked, then it should have stopped transmission and protected people, and obviously it didn't do that. And then more recently, people have kind of told us that it was not really ever tested for transmission anyway. But the association observed between rollouts and these concerning trends is now supported by additional scientific findings. These include the discovery of plausible biological mechanisms of harm demonstrated in laboratory and autopsy studies, as well as high rates of adverse events seen in randomized clinical trials and national surveillance programs. Altogether, these observations indicate a causal link. We've seen things about increases in blindness. We've seen studies come out on that. We've seen, obviously, all the heart problems, the biodistribution, on and on. This new technology, and it is a promising technology. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If they can figure out how to really get this to work, it could be incredible. But we just don't want it done like this, I think, is the point. So this new technology was granted emergency use authorization to address a situation that no longer exists. That's interesting. Going forward, the burden of proof falls on those still advocating for these products to compellingly demonstrate that they aren't resulting in net harm. Yeah, especially for young kids, man, I don't know how they're really making a case for it at this point. But until such evidence is presented, regulators should suspend their use as a matter of standard medical precaution. So the second point, comprehensive reevaluation of the safety and efficacy of all C19 products. Independent investigations must be properly resourced to allow a comprehensive reevaluation of all of these products. There must be a full exploration of mechanisms of harm to provide insights to their impact on the human body, both short and long term. This is making me think of the British guy, Russell Brand, who talked about how the boosters were tested on, 12 mice? A small handful of mice, just that's it. Effectiveness must be readdressed through a comprehensive review of actual clinical impact on illness and mortality as opposed to synthetic results based on modeling assumptions. We call the scientific community to come forward with findings from unpublished vaccine studies. This will help mitigate publication bias, whereby unfavorable results were often rejected or withheld due to fears of reputational damage. This reminds me of how Peter McCullough, right, one of the most celebrated, awarded, established medical researchers in the country, couldn't get a hearing in his own community, and I mean, really had to go to a Joe Rogan podcast. Like, to me, it's like that's when medicine is probably broken down pretty far, when the best of the best can't get a hearing, so they're forced to go onto YouTube. And I mean, it kind of gets out, I guess, but still, you don't want like Joe Rogan being like the go-to atmosphere and host of, right? I mean, that's crazy. So for things that's so serious like this, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that's how it went down. Anyway, we call on the scientific community to come forward. Okay, yes, like this will help mitigate publication bias. Yes, crucially, government bodies and pharmaceutical industry must also provide full transparency, granting access to previously undisclosed, anonymized, patient-led data from clinical trials and surveillance programs. These cumulative actions will help determine any real-world benefit these products versus the true extent of the damage caused. I think that's totally reasonable. Isn't that the type of world like that you want to live in, where there's transparency and the profit seeking of the pharmaceutical industry isn't overcoming the safety precautions? Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I totally do. A lot of people have like huge loss of trust with pharmaceuticals, right, and doctors as well. So point 3, the immediate recognition and support for the vaccine injured. So the denial of vaccine injury is a betrayal of those who followed official directives, often under coercion from mandates restricting their access to work, education, travel, hospitality, and sports. Sort of reminds me of LeBron James's son, who had a heart attack while playing basketball at the University of Southern California. Apparently, he was somehow still draftable. I think he was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, but still, all the medical folks, and even I was recently on the West Coast, how many people ostracize their own family members saying, "We're not going to see you," you know. So I mean, I guess that's one thing, but as far as access to education, right, international travel, getting stuck in some foreign country, maybe in Canada or wherever, doesn't matter, right? I don't know. It's like, yeah, there was a big sickness going around, and you wanted to like control the spread, I guess. But honestly, it just would have been a different thing if the products actually were as good as advertised. I mean, but if you don't have the testing and there's not the transparency to really prove that, like, again, that's, I think, what we're asking for here is the transparency, the certainty that these are actually safe and they actually do work in all the ways that we were told that they worked, or were led to believe that they worked. So the restoration of ethical principles abandoned during 2020 to 2024, maybe even continuing on till the future, but fundamental and cherished principles of medical ethics were disregarded on the premise of an emergency. These included first, do no harm. That's an important one. Informed consent. That's a huge one. That people wouldn't answer questions or be able to talk about the risks versus the benefits. Bodily autonomy, and the notion that adults protect children, not the other way around. So definitely don't force this on young kids who can't understand what they're being given in order to protect the elderly and the infirm, right, who've lived their lives and are towards the end of their lives anyways. The precautionary principle was inverted. So what we started basically sacrificing the young for the old, right? Also, particularly concerning was the erosion of free speech. So, like on this channel, I said that like 11% of our content was banned, and we were never able to really this channel is such a small deal because I'm not like a full-time YouTube person. This is not my full-time job, but still, it's the bigger point is not the loss of revenue necessarily, though the worker is worth the wages. It's just that you don't want to live in a world where you can't talk about things and trade notes. So the erosion of free speech, a democratic principle that underpinned the ability to question untested interventions whilst ensuring other principles were upheld. The consequences was exposing the public, especially healthy young people, including children, to unacceptable risks of harm. That's an opinion statement, I suppose, but I think well supported. I think everyone is pretty aware early on, like who this affected more, and it was the elderly, not the young. As we all know. So, look, it's not wrong to go back and say mistakes were made, and now we need to make some adjustments. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And that's really what this is. Emergencies are never reason to abandon our principles. It's precisely at such times that we most profoundly depend upon them. Only after acknowledging that they were wrongly abandoned can we commit to upholding them consistently, and in doing so, better protecting future generations. And then the fifth point is addressing the root causes of our current predicament. The medical profession must lead by admitting we lost our way. So we're looking for doctors and medical staff and researchers and I guess politicians, certain, the FDA and others, NIH and the like. So by drawing attention to these medical and ethical issues surrounding the response, we hope to validate and amplify the call to establish the relevant facts and ensure vital lessons are learned. An honest and thorough investigation is needed, addressing the root causes that have led us to this place, including institutional groupthink, conflicts of interest, and the suppression of scientific debate. We ultimately seek a renewed commitment to the core principles of ethical medicine, return to an era in which we strive for transparency, accountability, and responsible decision making throughout the spheres of medicine and public health. So, and that's the whole accord. You can see some of the famous folks here. Dr. Claire Craig is constantly on John Campbell's show. Dr. Asim is on YouTube. Some of these folks I know, some I do not. This guy is often on John Campbell's show as well. Of course, the Weinsteins, or Brett and Heather have their own channel, and they've always been they lost monetization a long time ago. So it's only 45,817 people that have signed this, which is really, really low, and it only takes just a few minutes. Zip code, email, Twitter handle if you like, signing as either a medical or healthcare worker, scientist or academic, or concerned citizen. Check the 2 boxes, confirm you're not a robot. It's really simple. I guess the concern is, well, what if I end up on some list, right? What if someone finds out that I'm not in favor of how things were done and I'm on some official list? It's like, I don't know, who cares? I guess, what do we think people are going to do to us? It's going to cost us a job, especially for just the concerned citizen type. If you're an electrician or, I don't know, you do something that's just totally unrelated to medicine. What's the problem? Why not sign it? I've been thinking about that question. I can't really come up with anything great. It's like, they're not going to let our kids go to medical school or something? I mean, who cares, right? It's no big deal. So I say, go ahead and sign it. What's it going to hurt? I'm not sure of all the implications of what they hope to achieve. Okay, so this was probably the most insightful article I found on where the Hope Accord came from. This is Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and we've heard about him before in the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. It said, so it says midway through this article, Bhattacharya recently introduced the Hope Accord via the Hoover Institute, located at Stanford University, which is in California, a bastion of more traditional conservative Republicans. The Hoover Institute is led by Tad and Diane Tabe, Director Condoleezza Rice, who of course served as Secretary of State under the two-term presidency of George W. Bush. This subtle connection should not be ignored. And I think the rest of this article is just really sort of their take on it. So as far as like what happens, you know, is it going to turn into some kind of bill, or what are they going to do with all these signatures? It's hard to say. But it's something for those of you who are hurt and upset, maybe something good to do. Share it with your friends. If you know more about it, check out the comments. I'm definitely no expert in the Hope Accord, but it was pretty easy to sign, something to look at. So want to cover it, and then we'll get back to some marriage stuff later. Okay. Well, yeah, in general, hard to be married and have a good family and everything if people are ultra sick because of either gain-of-function research or hurried and lack of consent and pressure from your job, getting fired, or you know, all the things we saw. So the Hope Accord, check it out. Sign it if you like. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, bye.
Hey, wanted to take a quick second and let you know about some opportunities that are available through Standing Strong for Marriages on Patreon. We have different tiers where you can donate. We're not putting extra content on Patreon, so all of it will be available on YouTube. But this is just an opportunity. You know, God says, hey, I want you to be a cheerful giver. And so a lot of that has to do with the causes and the little parts of the kingdom that we're involved with. And so I want to let you know that, you know, if you want to get behind marriages and helping kids, helping families, spouses, in the good name of Christ in the culture, through the work we're doing, yeah, I mean, you can be involved. You're welcome to. So $500 to $500 a month, because I actually really never have any idea how much money people are making. But anyway, you get the idea. I'll leave you the link in the show notes, and let's get back to it. Thanks.